The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is brought to you by Clinica Sierra Vista.
Welcome back to the 17 News at Sunrise podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
Well, we begin this morning with breaking news. The sheriff's office is investigating a shooting that sent a man to the hospital early this morning. The shooting happened at Curtis Drive and South P Street just before 2:30 this morning. KCSO says deputies found a man suffering from a gunshot wound. The sheriff's office says the man is expected to survive. No word yet on a possible shooter.
This morning, new rules about wearing masks in the workplace after California's workplace regulators reversed themselves for the second time in a week. As it stands now, businesses will lift all masking mandates for customers next Tuesday. And with CAL OSHA's vote last night, employees could be next. With a unanimous vote, CAL OSHA withdrew masking rules that would have required every employee in a room to be fully vaccinated before going maskless. The decision falls in line with the state's broader plan to do away with virtually all masking and social distancing requirements for vaccinated people when the state fully reopens next Tuesday. Board members emphasized that their revised rules were temporary. A subcommittee was appointed to continue working on revisions.
Hundreds of millions of dollars in federal aid is coming to Kern County as part of the latest federal stimulus package. An estimated $312 million is allocated for the Golden Empire, with every city set to get a piece of the pie, including $94 million to Bakersfield and $14 million to Delano. $28.2 million will focus on behavioral health, homelessness, and substance abuse. Another $25 million will help with premium pay for essential workers, and $80 million will go toward local government to help backfill lost revenue during the pandemic.
Certainly takes that pressure off the county, shores up the county's ability to provide those services, everything from public safety with sheriff and fire, district attorney, but even mental health. And so the ability to do that now and to provide those services going forward is really critical.
Also included more than $40 million for infrastructure and $10 million for free Wi-Fi at all the county's 43 parks. None of the funds are allowed to go to pensions, and all of the funds must be spent by 2026. Well, despite the good news on the economic front, we have reached another grim milestone here at home. The virus has killed 1,400 people. Public health officials announced another COVID-19 death, along with 64 new cases yesterday. According to state data, 36 people are in the hospital with COVID-19 and 5 people are in the ICU.
COVID-19 vaccinations continue to be the most effective weapon in reducing cases and deaths, according to our health officials. Bakersfield College nursing students will hold a COVID-19 vaccination clinic today. That clinic will be held from 5 to 8 p.m. at the Hindu Temple of Kern County, located on Valley View Drive. The students will hold another clinic on July 8th at the same place and same time. Doses of the Moderna vaccine will be distributed at both events. You can register at myturn.ca.gov.
Time now 5:09 in your 17 Court Watch. New details this morning regarding allegations against former Bakersfield priest Craig Harrison. Attorneys yesterday filed 2 lawsuits saying Harrison sexually assaulted 2 teens in the 1990s.
We're very aware that he has been a very public pastor. As powerful as he is, and as prominent as he has been as a pastor and as a Monsignor assigned by the bishops, he's also a predator.
The lawsuits allege church administrators knew or should have known about the alleged abuse, but hid it from the public. The plaintiffs are seeking compensation for the alleged physical and mental pain they have suffered, among other damages. Through his attorney, Harrison stood fast in his denial of any misconduct and said the allegations are merely an effort to get money from him and the church. For more details on the allegations against Craig Harrison, you can visit our website, kget.com. And a former Bakersfield teacher is accused of sending, quote, nasty messages to students and taking inappropriate videos, according to new court documents. Those documents say Kyle Pewitt sent inappropriate messages to 2 former students and recorded a video of him touching himself. Pewitt is a former employee of Luis Sandrini Elementary School. He was arrested back in April in San Diego County, where he was employed at an elementary school. Pewitt is due back in court July 8th.
A local music group is heading back to the stage for the first time since the pandemic to celebrate Pride Month. Bakersfield Latin ska reggae group Mitaburu is holding a live concert on June 18th at Tembler Brewing Company in central Bakersfield. This will be Tembler's first indoor music concert of the year. Doors open at 8 p.m. Tickets are $5 and can be purchased at the door. Well, here's a cool way to beat the summer heat. The California Living Museum is bringing back Twilight at Calm. Starting next month, you're invited to take an evening stroll, bring a picnic dinner, ride the train, and enjoy the animals during their active dusk hours. Twilight at Calm is on Saturdays from 5 to 8 p.m. starting July 10th through August 28th.
Hundreds of local high schoolers are waking up this morning with their diplomas after last night's graduation ceremonies. 7 different schools held in-person graduations, including Centennial, Liberty, BHS, Foothill, and Independence. The Kern High School District wraps up its week of graduations tomorrow night. For details on those ceremonies, visit kget.com.
All right, and let's take a look at our forecast on this Thursday morning with Chief Meteorologist Alyssa Carlson. Alyssa?
Again, another day of cooler temperatures starting out in the 50s, and I hope everyone is taking advantage because this time next week it is not going to look like this. Looking at 53 right now in Bakersfield, 46 in Lake Isabella. We are at 61 in Ridgecrest, continuing here into the 40s from Tehachapi over to Fraser Park and Pine Mountain Club. So readings here in the mountains continuing to be cool, and we'll also watch for temperatures again in these cool 50s here in the valley this morning. Now, the winds have not picked up yet, but we did see some gusty winds yesterday afternoon out into the mountains and desert locations. We also saw them through the valley. And when I was driving home from work, the evening shows around 6:30 last night to 7 o'clock, I saw blowing dust in the northwest, and of course we have all the graduation ceremonies again tonight. So just be aware that we may see a little bit of blowing dust in those same locations again tonight as winds are going to be picking up out of the west. Now, we have an upper level system that has dropped on through right behind it, the ridge of high pressure building in. You see that open space there in the ocean, and that is where we are looking now at the drying air also working through. So to the south, we'll still see those gusty winds, and over the Four Corners states as well. They will continue to watch for high fire danger there today. Here's our forecast, though. At 7 a.m., 57 degrees. At 9, we'll be around 60, and then at 11, 65. This afternoon, once again, topping out into the mid to upper 70s, 78 degrees. We haven't seen temperatures like this since around May 22nd, and we're going to continue once again to see those 70s before we hit 80s tomorrow. In the mountains, starting out cool into the 40s, and then by 9, 49 degrees. At 11, 55 in the afternoon. We will be in the lower 60s. I'm going to talk much more about the weekend and when that heat will arrive in your complete pinpoint forecast.
Welcome back. As world leaders begin arriving today for the G7 summit in England, President Biden is already there, meeting with British Prime Minister later today. We're expecting they'll announce a new agreement to reopen trade and travel between the U.S. and the U.K. Tracy Potts has the details.
Hi, Nicole. Good morning, everyone. The White House says the president's in England to reset relationships and restore America's place in the world, starting with the COVID pandemic. Today, he's expected to announce the U.S. is buying 500 million doses of vaccine to distribute worldwide as he deals with that and other issues in meetings with world leaders starting today.
In preparation for our visit.
Today's meeting between President Biden and British Prime Minister Boris Johnson will focus on climate change, security, trade, democracy, and travel. The two are expected to announce a new Atlantic Charter, an agreement that includes a task force to quickly reopen travel to and from the UK. Tensions over Northern Ireland could also come up. All this ahead of the G7 summit tomorrow, where President Biden hopes to strengthen ties with America's allies.
The United States is back and democracies of the world are standing together.
We share the President's emphasis on open societies, open markets, liberal democratic values.
They also share concerns about Russia.
We're not seeking conflict with Russia. We want a stable, predictable relationship.
Mr. Biden's one-on-one with Russian President Vladimir Putin next week will take place at this 18th century Swiss villa. Administration officials expect it'll be long and tense with no agreements. President Biden's critics question his foreign policy.
The Russians are just pushing everybody around in the region, so I'm not impressed with his statements nor his deeds.
The meeting with Russia may address election interference, cyber attacks, human rights, Ukraine, and nuclear capabilities.
The Russians say they're not expecting much to come out of this meeting either. In fact, President Putin claims that the hacking allegations were designed to provoke dispute before next week's summit. I'm Tracy Potts, 17 News.
Clinica Sierra Vista is now offering rapid COVID-19 testing and COVID-19 vaccinations. Call 833-278-4584 to make your appointment. But don't delay. Clinica Sierra Vista, putting patients first.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
Good morning. Time now is 5:30 on this Thursday morning. And if you haven't been outside yet, it's a little chilly out there.
Hey, enjoy the cooler temperatures right now. We all know that a warm-up, not even a warm-up, a full-blown heat wave, our next heat wave.
Triple-digit heat.
Triple-digit. It's back in the forecast. So if you're feeling a little chilly right now in the low 50s, just enjoy it and kind of just go through it. Chief Meteorologist Alyssa Carlson joins us now to look at our forecast and those cooler temperatures outside.
Good morning, Alex and Nicole. I know I like to warm up with a nice hot cup of coffee on a morning like this, and I have my patio door open and allowing that cooler air to cool the house down. But yes, it is chilly again outside, so you'll need a jacket if you are maybe doing some exercise outdoors this morning, or maybe sending the kids off to camps or schools. Looking at 53 degrees right now, feeling like 53, humidity at 55%, winds are out of the west-northwest at 5 miles per hour. And as we take a look here around the valley, 46 chilly degrees in Lake Isabella. We're now at 39 in Tehachapi, 40 in Fraser Park, and you're saying to yourself, this is almost mid-June, and we are waking up to temperatures this chilly. Yes, that upper level system digging south all the way there down to the Baja Peninsula, and that has brought cooler temperatures statewide. So we are seeing some of the coolest temperatures here around the country, and still looking at the heat in the upper Midwest and over into the eastern portion of the United States. So I guess we're lucky compared to them. 7 a.m., 57 degrees, at 11, 66, at 3 o'clock, 75, and in the mountains, lower 40s to start, 60 by 1 o'clock, and today will be only in the low to mid 60s in the mountains. We're going to talk about the winds again and what to expect in your complete pinpoint forecast.
All right, Alyssa, thanks so much. Recapping our top stories on this Thursday morning, the Sheriff's Office is investigating a shooting that sent a man to the hospital early this morning. The shooting happened at Curtis Drive and South P Street just before 2:30. KCSO says deputies found a man suffering from a gunshot wound. The Sheriff's Office says the man is expected to survive. No word yet on a possible shooter. California's workplace regulators reversed themselves for the second time in a week last night. With a unanimous vote, CAL OSHA withdrew masking rules that would have required every employee to be fully vaccinated before going maskless. The decision falls in line with the state's broader plan to do away with virtually all masking and social distancing requirements for vaccinated people when the state fully reopens next Tuesday. Attorneys yesterday filed 2 lawsuits saying former Bakersfield priest Craig Harrison sexually assaulted 2 teens in the 1990s. The lawsuits allege church administrators knew or should have known about the alleged abuse, but hid it from the public. Through his attorney, Harrison stood fast in his denial of any misconduct and said the allegations are merely an effort to get money from him and the church. Well, this morning we continue our conversation on fentanyl. It is a very addictive and deadly substance, and families are losing loved ones over it. Just this year alone, more than 5 dozen people have lost their lives to this dangerous drug.
This morning, 17's Robert Price reports on fentanyl, the counterfeit killer.
There's a pandemic out there of a type not associated with any kind of virus. Vaccines, social distancing, mask mandates, they're of no value. This is strictly a man-made pandemic, and it's built on profit, addiction, and deception. The agent of death in this pandemic is fentanyl, a synthetic opioid 50 to 100 times more potent than morphine. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says it killed 81,000 Americans between May 2019 and May 2020. In 2020, fentanyl, in combination with other drugs and by itself, killed, according to the coroner's office, at least 125 people in Kern County. Perhaps you've heard of fentanyl. Perhaps you recognize it as the poison that killed musicians Prince in 2016 and Tom Petty in 2017, and very nearly killed Demi Lovato in 2018. That makes fentanyl old news, right? Except it's not. It's here now, in Kern County, still. And it's worse than ever. And if it becomes as prevalent here as it is in the northeastern United States, it will get worse still. Illegal pill seizures, one major indicator of the depth of the problem, are way up. The Kern County Sheriff's Department, to name one agency involved in the fight against fentanyl, seized 7,800 pills in 2019. In 2020, it seized 65,000, an eightfold increase. Through the first 19 weeks of 2021, the KCSO already has seized more than 70,000 pills, putting it on track to confiscate 190,000, nearly triple 2020's haul. And when seizures rise, deaths do too. Fatal fentanyl overdoses have visited every state and virtually every city, including Bakersfield.
Both my sons died the same way.
In March of last year, Dan Hart lost his 28-year-old son, Dylan. Found him unresponsive in his room. Called 911. It was too late. 9 months later, in December, 4 days after Christmas, incredibly, Hart lost his other son, 23-year-old Cameron. 2 sons, same year, same drug. Cameron's COVID-delayed funeral was February 2nd. 30 friends attended. Several spoke of his irreverent wit, his love of life, his ability to brighten a room. Dimitri Martfeld was his best friend.
Cam could take anyone sad and turn their day completely around within 30 seconds.
They also spoke of the insidious omnipresence of the drug that took Cameron Hart, and in recent years, others in their group of friends. Cameron's friend, Matthew Hanisch, used his time at the podium to deliver a message.
Well, basically, I just asked everyone to stop doing these drugs. Like, we lost one of my best friends, and his brother died the same way through the same drug dealer, bought the same drugs.
This is Cameron's father, Danny Hart.
They're selling death out there, and it happens so fast. I've met so many mothers recently that are going through the same thing. It's just mind-boggling.
Another life lost to fentanyl. Another family devastated. This one, twice. This kilo brick of seized fentanyl is enough to kill every man, woman, and child in Bakersfield. Merely touching it can cause, and has caused, a medical emergency. That's why law enforcement officers are required to take special precautions when they handle it. Masks, double gloves. It's so toxic even the slightest absorption through the skin can cause someone to pass out. Look what it did to this police officer handing seized fentanyl in Bartlesville, Oklahoma last year. He recovered. Even the tiniest dose of fentanyl can be fatal. And you can buy some right now, today. Hey, look at these great deals. Like one of those supermarket circulars you get in your mailbox. Except this is on your phone. Or your kid's phone. Families need to grasp the unforgiving finality of a fentanyl overdose now, not after it hits home. For 17 News, Robert Price.
And coming up at 6:30, we'll sit down with Robert Price in studio to talk about what comes next in this series and more on the deadly impact fentanyl is having on local families.
Follow-up to a story we brought you yesterday. County supervisors approving an additional 195 body-worn cameras for the Kern County Sheriff's Office. Now, yesterday, KCSO said with the addition of those body cameras, the department will now have a total of 325. Adding the new cameras will go to the Sheriff's Office personnel, ranking from deputy to lieutenant, who are routinely assigned to patrol functions, including their 14 substations. The department will also be able to update its existing body-worn camera technology, including smart batteries for the taser, which automatically activates the camera when the taser is activated.
Bakersfield police are investigating an early morning shooting in central Bakersfield. BPD was called to the parking lot at the Hampton Inn on Oak Street just after 7:30 yesterday morning. They found a wounded man in the back seat of an SUV who later died. Multiple bullet holes could be seen in the windows of the SUV. The hotel stayed open during the investigation, but overall the area was shut down for several hours as police talked to witnesses and checked surveillance cameras. So far, no suspects have been named. If you know anything about this case, call police. The Kern County Sheriff's Office is investigating an apparent homicide west of Wasco. KCSO deputies responded to McCombs Road and Gun Club Road at around 11:35 yesterday morning. Officials say a victim was found with obvious trauma and declared dead at the scene. The name of the victim has not been released, and no information on any suspects has also not been released. Anyone with information can call KCSO at 861-3110 or call Secret Witness at 322-4040.
The Bakersfield Fire Department is working to find out what sparked an early morning fire that burned down a vacant building. It broke out on Quincy Street near Owen Street right before 1 o'clock yesterday morning. BFD says the fire was quickly contained, but did cause minor damage to the two houses on either side. Luckily, no one was injured. BFD says the home is a complete loss. And Kern County fire crews had to bring in reinforcement to battle the fire in Lamont. This fire broke out around 8:15 Tuesday evening on San Amidio Street near DeGiorgio. We reached out to the Kern County fire officials for more information on this fire, but have not heard back as of news time. The California Highway Patrol says they had to close down several neighboring blocks to keep cars and people away from the blaze.
Now to Kern Sober Reality and our continuing coverage of drunk driving in Kern County. Officials confirmed yesterday alcohol was a factor in a fatal crash over the weekend. The CHP says sometime Saturday night or early Sunday morning, a silver Nissan Sentra entered into a closed-off construction zone in the area of Highway 99 and Golden State Avenue. The vehicle had been traveling northbound on Golden State the wrong way. The car collided head-on with an unoccupied piece of construction equipment. The driver, whose name has not been released, died at the scene.
Time now 5:41, and the Kern County Grand Jury has completed an inquiry into 4 major local water districts. The grand jury released a report about its in-depth investigation into the operations of the West Side Water Authority. The Water Authority is comprised of 4 districts: Berenda Mesa, Bell Ridge, Lost Hills, and Dudley Ridge. Following its analysis, the grand jury recommends the authority begin paying its employees through in-house payroll by the end of the year, work to standardize budgets and streamline workflow, and provide higher accountability by making meeting agendas and minutes more readily available for member districts.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.